Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today's episode is brought to you by Bayfield Brewing Company. And today, I am so excited to have on a 33-year-old from Bayfield, Ontario. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, the USA, Germany, the Czech Republic, and Poland. He's an RBC Cup top forward, an ECAC champion with Union, and a tournament MVP. Also, a second team All-American, suited up for the Carolina Hurricanes, Vancouver Canucks, and St. Louis Blues, a Polish silver medalist, but was well known as the best artist and painter in the DEL. Welcome to the podcast, Jeremy Welsh.
Hey, thanks for having me, Wally.
Is that actually, now that Quirky told me that, did you paint that behind you?
I did, and actually, not. I didn't know this was going to come up, but this is the kitchen, and I painted this.
You actually did?
Yeah, last spring during the lockdown
cool,
as well.
dude.
You got into podcasts, and I got into this.
Well,
I had a
everybody's
nice
got to have
flat
a
with a
hobby,
spare
right?
room, so I drink some coffee, drink some beers, turn up the music, and fling some paint around. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Actually, that looks really cool, man. And so I guess, obviously I said, I talked to Quirky, which part of how that came up was you sent me the pictures for your poster, that Lee and Carpool design. And I saw you and Quirky hugging and smiling. And I'm like, you're hugging my centerman?
Yeah, that's a funny photo too, because we were teasing it up for the camera there.
Oh, you got to do that sometimes, right?
It looks like we're just bona fide elated with things, but we kind of just, we're yucking it up.
Oh yeah, Quirky was a great dude, man, and he was my centerman in Sunderjyski, in Denmark.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. We finished, I think it was second and third in the league in scoring. Actually, we really zigged and zagged well together.
Yeah, he's a smart player. I never got to play with him because I was also a centerman mostly on that team. But
were you? Really? You were a centerman?
I am a natural centerman. Yeah, I played a bit of left wing because Bordson was a centerman, and we really clicked. But I think I played sometimes on a PP with Quirky, jumped in there. So yeah, he's a super smart player.
And the other reason how we know each other, one of them is the reason I got your number and I got the setup was Bobby Raymond there from Lucknow, Ontario, which was also part of Locals Week's podcast, which you are the final one. You're the 6th local podcast. So yeah, thank you to Bobby Raymond for helping me set this up.
Yeah, good.
And the last one is the time I met you would have been, yeah, at the Godrich Arena there when I was whipped around by myself shooting on an empty net, right?
Is that how I met you?
I believe so. Yeah, that's the first time I met any hockey players around here.
Okay.
Because I'm in Kincardine, right?
Yeah. Okay. I kind of vaguely remember that. And you're like, okay, that's what happened. And then did I invite you out with the skater or whatever?
Yeah, somehow I was out there with all my pro gear on and I saw like all the pro guys come out. I'm like, this actually happens in Godrich? I was so confused because I had just moved to the area.
Oh yeah. And then you talked to me and Cal was running. Cal and Ryan O'Reilly run those skates. Mostly Cal was at that time. And I think you came up, hey, what's going on? And I didn't have the authority to sign off on inviting you out there. And so given what I'd seen to that point, I was like, this is like pro hockey players training here. It's kind of serious. And I think you had just been getting back on the ice, eh?
Yeah, I really realistically didn't skate in the summers when I played in Germany because you go over there a month early. So I would never skate. And then when I moved here, when the UK league's different than that, they were bugging me you have to be skating. And I'm like, well, I don't even know where to skate. I have nowhere to skate. And then I found out Godrich had free ice at 6 a.m. So then I went there and then you guys were out there.
Yeah, probably at 9 or whatever we started. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was funny. I don't think you're in mid-season shape at that point.
Maybe
I can
that's why they
say.
wanted me on the ice.
But no, I remember he like was kind of laughing, and he came in. Everyone was pretty serious. Like these guys were running the steps and everything before the skate, and you kind of waddled in there. But as soon as we started playing the 3-on-3 and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's a clever player. He can play around the net and make the plays. So then all the young bucks that were skating circles, you just outsmarted them. So.
Oh dear, no, that's when I really started to feel my age. Yeah, that was. Dear, yeah, no, it really started catching up
Of
to
course,
me. But you know what? Like, to be honest, I had never been around guys that practiced that hard in the summer. I had never been around it, and when I asked Quirky, like, if he had anything about you, he just said he had some of the best drills for after practice he had ever seen, and he was like a real student of the game. And I was like, well, that's O'Reilly's. Like, that's the old man and the brothers. Cause I saw it for like a handful of ice times. And I'm like, I've never seen people do these drills. I've never seen them work so hard in the summer. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, no wonder like, it was nuts. And I'd never seen anybody as big and as good at using his body as O'Reilly in those skates. Like when we play 3-on-3, I was like, he's so wide to get around to get to the puck. I was like, I don't know.
Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was always good. There was like one summer, I think it was after his first year in Colorado, he kind of came back, and he'd gone from like he was super fit all the time. But then when he came back from his first year in the NHL, he was just a man. And he still had that athleticism. He was doing yoga in his hips and stuff. So he could like hip hinge, twirl, spin around you, stiff arm you, and then go like one-handed backhand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts to see. And Cal had the best hands I'd ever seen. He could spin you, like he'd attack 3 guys, eh? And in these skates, it was crazy because it was their skate, it was their comfort zone. So Cal would attack like 2 of us. Put the puck right, you'd lean right, he'd put it left, you'd go right through you. He could spin you around just by putting it in the little areas and triangles. And those guys, I think that was a big part of me going from, a junior B, junior A guy to being able to go to college and get better and better, just kind of being exposed to those guys and how good they were. And it's like going to a pro training camp, it's 17 or whatever at home, just kind of like, wow, this is no joke. And
I honestly can't agree more, because like I was 32 or 3 at the time, and I showed up and I'm just like, I'm in the UK league, I'm going to go over there and play well. It's all going to be good. And then I went out there with those guys and the young guys that were skating circles around me. I was like, Jesus, I need to do more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we weren't exactly competing against you at that time, right? Most of those guys were going to NHL camps and stuff. So they're a little more young and motivated, but Cal, I mean, Ryan wasn't as vocal. He was pretty quiet and he worked hard. But if we opened up a drill, like we do a passing drill to open the skate, get warmed up. If guys were missing passes, Cal would wake the fuck up. Jesus, make a fucking pass. Let's fucking go.
Oh yeah, and this isn't a summer skate, and I'm thinking I had just been out shooting on an empty net, like cruising around.
Yeah, no, when they'd always have the skates in the summer, I'd always make sure I got out to that 6 a.m. I'd get up and go there and get a week, 2 weeks of skating in, because I didn't want to embarrass myself. And when you go out there, there's no floating around or something. So I mean, Cal's still getting it done in the American League too. So you see that work ethic pays off. And
as I said, really?
I think, he led the Phillies farm team, the Phantoms there in scoring this year. Allentown or whatever. They're just outside Philadelphia. He's the captain there.
I do remember, like, he is a captain, like he's 100% a captain. I remember the first practice he was there, and then I think he was gone for the rest of them. I think it was only the first practice, but I do remember the guys being hesitant about letting me on the ice because of my body type. And that just sometimes hurts, you know?
Well, that was only logical thinking on our end. Everyone was young and just shredded up from a summer of training, and
You didn't know what a 30-something-year-old body looked like at that point, eh?
no, it wasn't exactly a passing game. It was a lot of moving, and so guys
I
were
was a
hesitant.
passer and more positional, at that point.
We'd seen, like, if kids would come out, like a AAA kid, or sometimes Cal's dad Brian would try and throw a guy in there, like, hey, I'm training this guy, get him out on your skates. If he came out and I guess if they just didn't, this one demon would come out. He's a little bit lackadaisical, like just kind of too cool for school. And Cal used to just snap on him, or if Cal lost a game because this guy was nonchalant, got his pocket picked, he would just snap.
And that's what a captain is. And that's why he's a captain wherever he goes, is because that's him in the summer skates. I can't imagine during the season, like, he'd just be that all the time. And like, for me, summer skates were fun. It was like I was out there podcasting. I was just out there having fun. So anyways, we better move on, because this is the perfect transition now into our final locals pod. Is we have a sponsor, which I mentioned earlier, which is Bayfield Brewing Company, located Main Street, Bayfield. And since we are on the topic of the O'Reillys, is one of their beers is the Snook Stout. It's a carbonated stout. Their darkest feature, showcasing the creaminess and deep flavor of an Irish-style stout, and a rich and balanced flavor profile with hints of roasted malts and caramelization. This beer is an ode to their local Stanley Cup champion, Ryan O'Reilly. A portion of the proceeds from every Snook Stout sold is donated to the Bayfield Community Center. So I think that's a perfect transition for Locals Week. And I am just curious, because I know his nickname is Snook, which is Snook Stout. What's Snook from? Do you know?
I just know from hearing him say, I think Snook, some say Snook, some say Snook. I think it's an Irish word for a mischievous young boy.
Okay.
And,
well, anyways, thank you for sponsoring the podcast. And I thought it was perfect that they would do this, especially when they have a beer named like that. We're going to talk about Snook on here. So anyways, moving on, because we need to know where and what are you doing now?
Well, at the moment, I'm in Hamburg, Germany here. I'm staying with my girlfriend. I stayed here last summer till about September 1st. With the delay to the seasons with COVID. And so I'm back here again, just enjoying being here. And this is a beautiful city, and it's a great summer city too. More bridges than any city in Europe, even more than Amsterdam. So the canalways, I've got a nice inflatable racing paddleboard, and I've got a gravel bike and a couple bikes. I just kind of enjoy the city each day.
I've actually been to Hamburg at least 3 times. One time was when I was playing with Quirky. I went on a vacation there, but it's a beautiful city. There's that big lake, and you got the places to sit out for a coffee or a drink or whatever, and everybody's walking around and doing things. And then the other time I was there I was flown there for a knee appointment with the doctor. Apparently there's a really good knee doctor there.
Okay.
But anyways, it's a beautiful city. And next thing is can du sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch if du wohnen in Hamburg, Deutschland, oder?
If du wohnen. Kleines Deutsch.
Leck mir am Arsch. Du have eine Frau in Deutschland, oder?
Yeah. It's it's 1 year, then 2 years, and then here I am. So I speak enough to go. I go to the farmers markets, the Wochenmarkt, and get all my food, and I can order all my veggies and all my food and grocery shop and order and stuff in the restaurants. It's just conversational, not so much, but
you can get by.
I'm a little bit embarrassed about it now. Obviously, I'm doing some Rosetta Stone, but it's kind of one of those things. 1 year turns into 2, turns into 3, and I started learning a lot of stuff my last 2 years here, and then after I left for 9 months, it's
it would be.
She slips away pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, it was like I've mentioned it before, is like in the second league, it's totally different than the DL because you're hanging out with the Germans more. There's less imports. So
Sure.
You're around it more. And when you go to the bars, everybody's speaking German, where in the DL, everybody's speaking English. And I find it interesting that everybody I've had on that played in the DL can't speak German. And it's the way of life over there because there's 10, 11 imports and you're not going to speak German when there's that many guys around, but in the second league you do. And then I was there for 6 years, so like that's a long time of my life.
Sure.
But anyways, that's why I was just curious because
and how well did you get to speak?
I was good enough.
I mean, I heard that sentence you clearly wrote out beforehand and rehearsed.
No, at one point I may or may not have been good enough to do a unemployment meeting in German, no English, and get unemployment for the summer and then fly back to Canada. But I cannot confirm nor deny that.
Nice deal.
Yeah, no, I also canceled my cable and internet over the phone all in German one time. That's how good I got by the end.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But I'm not like that anymore. They say if you don't use it, you do in fact lose it, right?
Yeah.
And that would be the 9 months you go away.
That I was away this last time. My last year in Krefeld, I started picking up what people were saying and that I couldn't respond, but in the DEL, there's also, 10 imports. The coaches speak English. I had years there where you didn't want to speak German because you didn't want to know what the Germans were saying about the imports. So
that does happen over there. Like, and that's how so different my experience is in the second league. The coach my first year only spoke German, no English. I didn't know anything that was happening and I just went with it. So anyways, we better move on though, because man, we're still stuck
in the introduction
what are you doing
here
now? Yeah, like we're not even into this yet. Because you are in Hamburg now, but I had seen you had just finished in Krakow. And what happened there? You were playing in Poland?
Yeah, so just with the COVID situation, I kind of got caught with my pants down there, and so it was November, and a friend of mine here, Andrew McPherson. I don't know. You might have known that name.
I've met him. Yep.
Andrew McPherson, Del 2 guy. I played with him in Bremerhaven, and so he had played in Krakow and went on playoff run and to finish his career. And so he was dealing with some VH skates with them, and he said, "Hey, this team's looking for some forwards. Are you interested at all?" I'm not going to give him your name. And at that point, there wasn't a whole lot cooking. There was some Del 2 stuff in the pipeline, and that's about it at that point in time. And I wasn't too high on going to, like, as they said, there was, you could go to a better league, but it was less money. This team was paying decent quiche. So,
and did you play against the Shahura brothers while you're over there?
Yep. We played them in the semifinals.
And you put them out then?
Yeah, we knocked them off.
Wow, geez, he's going to be upset. So Chewy, the older one, Paul, he was my centerman at university at Western Michigan. So he hasn't been able to come on the pod yet. He's he might still play again, but he went over there to play with his brother, and he was in Poland after a great KHL career so far. But you guys put them out, eh? So that would have been a pretty good series, or what?
Yeah, we thought they were the top team, and then when we got to the finals, we met a team like the New Jersey Devils of the Polish league. They were just real well coached and kind of locked it down, and we were a bit more of a riverboat gambling kind of unit. So
freewheeling.
Yeah, but they had some good North Americans on that team, and you'll have to ask him what he thought, because it's coming from the KHL. you get to the Polish league, my first game and my second game, I was like, what in the hell is going on out here? It's just like guys are big and strong and they're just as fast as any other players in any league. Right. And they play like full speed. So
and they just, they're not sure where they're going, but they're going fast.
No, they're not sure where they're going, and the puck might come or it might not, but it probably won't get past anyone either. So everyone's just flying around. And so you're like, I thought, go out there, hang on to it, slow it down. I'll take it over. And when we got out my first game, my first period, I looked at the other imports and was like, I'm not getting paid enough to do this. These guys are like KHL speed, KHL size, but just between the years, it wasn't the same caliber. So it was a different game for sure.
Yeah, no, I am curious to hear from him what he thought of it. Okay, so moving on, then you did lose to the Devils that year, but I just for fun, I just wanted to start some rumors because I know in the UK league, they can never announce, or they tell you cannot say anything about going there. But is there a chance that you might be going over to do school somewhere in the UK at some point in your life?
At some point in my life, yeah, that's on my
to-do list.
For sure, my to-do list. Yeah, that MBA program is definitely appealing, and as you get older, Wally, just dropping into these towns and playing ice hockey sometimes can get a little slow, or if it's not going great, it's kind of
Are you playing with something with your other hand down there below? Yeah, I think you're clicking something. I can hear it.
Yeah, I was clicking a pen.
Oh, that's okay. I get nervous too talking to you. The MBA literally changed my life, and if you can do it, if you can do the MBA, you got to do it. It's the best thing you can do, because I was around your age when you met me, just so you know, when you guys were all laughing at me 5 years ago or 6-7 years ago, whatever that was. I think it was 6 years ago, right? Like Ryan O'Reilly hasn't won a Stanley Cup. He's not a Conn Smythe winner.
It's probably longer ago than that.
Well, it was when I was going to Cardiff. I know that. I don't know which year it was going into it.
Oh, okay. Probably your first. I think I was almost a college kid or something. I think it was more like 8. Oh, no? I was a pro player? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, anyways, where was I going with that?
It's a great thing to do. You should definitely do the MBA.
Yeah, if you ever have the chance. I'm just saying, I don't want to start rumors that you might be going to that league, but I just heard a rumor because I host a podcast that, like, geez, that would be great, because he's at that age. Hopefully he could do that in his life. But if you're into it, that'd be great if that could happen. Anyways, moving on. Growing up in Bayfield, and I have no idea if they have an arena, but part of the proceeds go to the Bayfield Community Center of the Snook Stout. So they must have an arena somewhere.
Yep, there's a small little pad there. It's got to be the smallest rink. One of the smallest rinks in Ontario, like for a town rink. It's a super small pad. When I was a kid, it was great. I used to go in with my moms and tots skate. So we could go in and skate when I was like 2-3 years old before I started school. But after a certain age, when the BCH kind of all came together there, it kind of got relegated because the pad is like maybe a 4-on-4 sized ice pad. So
is that
it's
right?
perfect.
It's not even full ice.
It's not. So I had skated there, when I was 12, 13, I hadn't skated there for a long time till I was in college and went back, and it was shocking how small it was. But it's perfect for men's leagues or young kids, or 4-on-4 men's league. It's great there.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Then if you're not, okay, I don't know where that is in Bayfield. I just kind of cruise through the main drag. I've been to some cottage parties just north of Bayfield where we'd hit the golf course. This was during late high school, early college, and then we did make it to Bayfield Brewing Company there on the main drag and hit their patio, which was really nice at one point. That would have been Geez, that would have been, I don't even know if it would have been the same name. That would have been 20 years ago, 15 years ago. The same place though.
Yeah.
I don't think it was named the same back then, but I've been on their
No,
patio
it
and it's
wasn't.
beautiful.
It is actually a great patio. Just
Yeah,
to
I've
sit
been on
down
it
and
though. Yeah.
watch the world go by.
I had no idea though that there was a rink in that town. So then where do you play minor hockey if it's not on that little rink, which sounds
Yeah,
like
so
a great place for a little tournament. Anyways.
yeah, I played there, and I don't know. Played there, and then I joined the Huron Lakers, grade 8,
So
grade
you
7.
played on that little rink until grade 8?
Yeah, grade 7, I guess. Grade 7, 8, 9. I played for the Lakers, and then in the meantime, BCH, Bayfield Clinton Hensel, formed one hockey association. So most of the hockey then got moved to Clinton, pretty much. Sometimes Hensel, but Bayfield was a practice facility for the younger kids. Yeah.
Okay, so you're closer to Clinton. That's a tough town on the pod there. I played for the Ripley Wolves. We lost in the finals to them. It hurts.
Oh
yeah. Okay. So that is interesting. So you go there, but then you end up with the Waterloo Siskins. How does that happen? Because I played for the Elmira Sure Kings, so you're playing in the big rec center in Waterloo. How do you end up there?
Yeah, well, I ended up getting cut from the Lakers team in my draft year. So that grade 10 year, going in, hoping for a big year and get some eyeballs from the OHL scouts. I ended up getting cut out of training camp, which was a pretty big shock.
That would be a very shock because I've skated with you and that doesn't make any sense. How would that even be possible?
Yeah, and I think I was assistant captain the year or two before, and it was a first year team when I'd started. So there was 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that had been there for the time. And then a new coach came in, and I think he got, a bad birdie in his ear that maybe his son was a centerman too, and was kind of saying that I stunk and was a bad guy or something. So
that sounds about right. That doesn't sound like it adds up.
But so I got cut from that team. So I went and played for the BCH Ice Dogs. That's that local association. So in grade 10 and 11, I was playing high school hockey and for the Clinton, Bayfield Clinton Center there. So how I got to Waterloo was we played in the high school championships, and we went to Stratford. I think we were playing Stratford Northwestern. And the coach of that team was Terry McCutcheon, who was a junior B legend with the Waterloo Siskins. And he was the assistant coach the next year. So we played them in the finals, and I was playing really well.
And he saw you play, and then he
saw me play. Yeah. And so I think it was 2 summers. I was going out to the Cullies, like they had it in Goderich. They were combined with the Sailors. So I went out to their rookie camp, and they'd bring in the Cullies young guys. And so I had a great camp. Next year I went in and was like lights out. Like I wanted to play for the Cullies so bad, and had a great training, a little rookie camp, blah, 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 and the Cullies were just kind of big time in me, basically. And early August, I think this Waterloo Siskins called. Al Kimmel was a coach, and Terry McCutcheon had said, "Hey, I know a kid. We should get him out for just to skate." So they called me down. I went, jumped into an exhibition game. I think it was a young players exhibition game. We were playing at Kitchener Dutchman, so all the young players and all the the brass, I guess, from the Siskins were there. And I played one game, and after 2 periods, Al Kimmel was like, "Hey, we want you on our team bad. Like, you got to play."
Yeah, no, like I skated with you just a couple times, and like we've talked about the O'Reillys, but like when I skated with you, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. And you were saying the same about me and my terrible body. I get it. But like, I saw you go out there and you guys were all so serious. And then I saw you going top cheese all the time. You're 6'3", in shape. And I'm like, seriously, who are I didn't know anybody, right? I just moved here. So yeah. Very interesting. But I'm shocked at how that's the way it went, that like you didn't make the Coltons. And
no, they were a big time team, and they always got big imports and some American guys. So, and to be honest, that's the way it's been for me. Even if we go on from the coach Al Kimmel saw me, said, "Hey, we need you on a team. Like, we're watching you play against, some OHL draft picks that we have to develop, and we're way better than them. And he just kind of said all the things that I was thinking, but no one had said. So, I joined there, and I was kind of there.
Okay, you know what? You got too much stuff in your career that we can't get stuck in junior too long here, because
carry on.
You know what? You're still playing, but there's too much to go here. Is that you decide to leave there and go to the Oakville Blades and then become an RBC top forward. So why do you leave the Siskins to go there? Because that's what it seems like a lot of kids would do nowadays, is leave this Midwest Junior B League to get scholarships.
Sure. Yeah. We keep moving along. It is an important part, like, catching on with the Siskins, though, because if that didn't happen, I might've been dead before it even started. So
that's very true.
So I don't,
and do you think that's because because you did get cut, like your OHL draft year, like that's gotta be strange. And that's gotta have something to do with that coach and everything. But then that would change things drastically if you don't catch on.
Sure. So I'm in grade 11, and playing great and everything, but you're playing in your hometown. So, maybe you can go play for the Wingham Ironmen for a year, but now you're going into your 19-year-old year and trying to be a junior B rookie. So it was just kind of do or die, and it worked out. And after 2 years there, a team came down from Oakville, and Georgetown was there too, but they were sending like 10, 12 guys a year on scholarships at that point. Oakville Blades were top quality team, top 5 teams in the OPJHL. The rest, aren't great, but they were the top tier. So the guy, Richard Clark was the name, came down and said, "Hey, come try out." And I went to their little tournament camp in the summer. Same thing. The coach was like, "Yeah, we need you on the team." And so they brought me in, like a official visit type deal in college, and showed me around. And just with the scholarships they were getting, that was my goal at the time. So I joined Oakville, and we had great teams for 2 years.
So can you just leave? Are you just allowed to leave the Midwest, or do they get any compensation or anything?
Maybe they got compensation
because they're losing one of their best players, and you just leave. That can't be good for that league if that's the way it is nowadays, because there aren't many scholarships in that league. And I was one of those guys 5 years earlier that all of us were getting scholarships from that league, and it was a better league.
Sure.
Right.
Maybe it could be a better league again. I'm not sure, because at that time the OPJHL was spending some money and, some gas in the tank. And I was doing classes at Wilfrid Laurier that were getting paid for and stuff. And I think the coach had changed. So Al Kimmel had moved on or gotten fired. And so they had hired a new guy, and he was kind of like, and I said, this is time for me to leave too. So it worked out, and played for one of the top teams in the country, basically for 2 years with the Oakville Blades there.
Well, we got to keep going. So the RBC Cup, that's the best teams in all of Junior A, like not major junior, but all of Junior A, all across Canada. And you were the top forward. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's a pretty big deal.
It was a big deal. Top forward at the tourney. And I remember my uncle was in the stands, and they had messed up my birth year. So it said 1990 instead of 1988.
Oh, so dear, I would have got them hot to trot.
So I was 19, but then my uncle's in the washroom or out smoking and started talking to a scout, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm watching my nephew Welsh." He's like, wow, he's a hell of a player. Blah, blah, blah. It's, we're looking at him. He's like, yeah, anyway, he said he's like 17. He's like, no, he's 19. He's like, what? He's a 90. No, he's like, no, I'm pretty sure he's born in 88. And so he told me that story, and then top forward. And I still couldn't get a sniff from these US colleges.
Is that right?
Yeah. So big season, the top forward, and going into next year, my 20-year-old year, they said, you're going to be the captain of the team here. We're going for it again. And I think I had a phone call from a Northeastern, and then maybe Maine were like kicking tires. You want to come for a 2 for 4? We might lose a guy, but they didn't really bother to call back. And so I went into the next year without really much going on. Yeah, I
in
guess I
your
visited.
final year as a 20-year-old after you're the top forward in all of. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It still doesn't make sense to me because I skated with you 4 times and I was like, holy moly, who is this dude?
well, this is, I guess, at every, it's always been the same as nothing, nothing, nothing. And then as soon as someone sees you, or I think someone smart sees me, they can see what I have. But if you're just checking off like skating, style, toe drag, then maybe I'm not on the list. But I had visited Union and RPI that summer, actually, unofficially, and nothing was going on. Come take a look. Submitted my papers to Union for financial aid, and nothing was really cooking. And after the first weekend of the season, I did the rookie showcase. Not a lot happening there, and I'm 20 going into my last year.
Is that right?
Yeah, it wasn't much cooking. Talked to a couple teams, thank you, and then my teammates had talked to the same teams, and they're like, "Yeah, he called me. He wants my information." I'm like, "Oh, never heard from him again." Actually, I didn't even get that pamphlet in the mail, so pretty discouraged. And I think it was the second game of the year. We were down 4-0, and in the third period, I think in the last 12 minutes, I had 2-2, and we win the game. And the goalie on my team, his dad was an NHL scout, and so he also had went to Union, back in the day. And so he called the head coach, Nate Lehman, and said, "Hey, listen, if you want to get Jeremy Welsh, I know he visited, like, you might want to do it. I'm sitting in the stands here. There's quite a few schools and some, scouts here watching." And so when I got home that night, my billets had left a message like, "Call Coach Lehman, doesn't matter how late it is." And so I called him at about 12:30, and he said, "Hey, good news. Your grades went through, and how would you like to come to Union?"
Oh, that's awesome, man. And Union's a pretty good school, right? Like that's one. So you went there. Did you so anyways, there was other schools in the mix. You go to Union and you guys are good the whole time and you're good the whole time, right?
Yeah, well, there wasn't really other schools in the mix, like really at that point. And then, but anyway, yeah, I went to Union mostly. If I'm going to go to school, I wanted to get the best education I could, and Union was that for me. So,
So just to cut in here, but like at 20 years old and you're right, like you're going to college, you're not thinking the NHL pro hockey is really a thing, because if you're going on a scholarship that late and there's only one team, like you don't really think there's any options after, right? You're just going to get a good education, right?
I'm going to get a good education, but at the same time, like,
Was it deep down in you, like, I'm going to be a
no,
pro
well,
hockey player?
I guess at that point, just moving forward, I wanted to be a pro hockey player, but I thought, how cool would it be just to like play a little bit in the American League, and like just to play in the American League would be so cool. But I play in the OJHL. There's guys getting drafted, and Joe Colburn was at that RBC, and he was a first round pick. And so I was playing against guys that were
And
getting
you're the
drafted.
top forward. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm better than him, or not better, but these guys that are getting drafted, I'm right there with them. I happen to be 2 years older, but so I just kind of trusted what I had felt. But going to school was just trying to get in the lineup. Freshman year, these guys were huge and mature. They got a lot of Western Canadians there, lifting weights and stuff. So, the freshman year I would go in, and it wasn't like, oh, I want to play in the NHL. It's like, I want to play in most of the games here, and
yeah, not maybe, be a healthy scratch. Yeah.
I remember get scratched. Yeah. So that was the main focus there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did well, like by looking at your stats, is basically every year you did better, which I do have a couple guys that I've played with on your college team, but I don't think we can get into that because you still got too much stuff to go through.
All right.
So
keep it moving.
Yeah, we're going to have to. But every year you got better. And like by the end, you're literally like your team is the best team in the ECAC. And it sure looks like you're about the best player in the ECAC. So how does that all happen? Like, what's the progression through college like that? You get the confidence, like I got it here. Cause I kind of had to go through all that too. Like
yeah,
I did.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest things for like getting an NHL deal and coming out of there was that the team had just hit this. So when I showed up, they had never won a playoff series before. And then that freshman year, we went to the Cleary Cup finals, the ECAC championship, won our first playoff series. And then the next year, Cleary Cup. So I got there right on the upswing, kind of the crest of the wave.
What's a Cleary Cup? Is that the ECAC?
ECAC championship. Yeah. So that first year we went there, then the next year was the first time getting ranked, and we got into the national tournament. And so it was just kind of like Union's program was just kind of
On the
hitting its
rise.
stride. And I happened to be getting there at the right time and playing a part of it. So, how, when that happens, everyone thinks like, obviously if you're part of the solution, it looks good. So, but they started recruiting good players. The older guys were good and good BCHL guys. And then they started getting some studs like Josh Juris, Dan Carr came in. I played with them on a line. That was a big reason why I had so many goals that junior year. Gothlis Bear, Matt Bodie was there. Keith Kincaid was our goalie the first year. Then Troy Grosnick, who played with LA one game this year. So they just started getting real good players. And once the program does well, obviously everyone gets the benefit of the doubt on those deals, I guess.
Well, that's what happens in hockey every year, though, is the teams that win, teams want the guys that help that team get there. And the teams that lose are like, well, if you weren't the best player on that team, like you're done. That's kind of how it works, right?
That's basically been exactly what's I'd say my DEL career has happened. You get to a team, the team underperforms. You're a nice player, but smelly. We got to drum up some interest for next year. And
well, you have to, and they do it every year. I've been in Germany. I saw exactly what they do. It's you're just there for the time. They love you until they don't. Anyways, moving on, right? So you were like the guy by the end of college. Like, I saw the stats and I saw how well the team was doing. You name all those guys. Well, you're the top scorer and second team All-American, right? Like, and you win it. So like, I understand the winning does help everybody, right? That helps everybody move up. But how hard was it to decide to leave school? Because you did leave, right?
Yeah, I left after my junior year. It wasn't that hard. I had 16 contract offers, and I had basically a semester or semester and a half left of college. So, and I think I just turned 23. So if I stayed around the next year, I would have been 24. Maybe I just turned 24 actually. And I was like, talking to my coach, he's trying to get me to stay. I said, if I stay here, I'll be 25 next year. You realize that, right? Like college girls are looking young to me already. And I'm a junior. These people are 18 years old and stuff.
No, like, no, you're right. Like when you get to college at that age and you have 16 contract offers, there is nothing to think about. So how do you decide which contract to go with? Because they got to be all basically almost full go entry level deals.
No, there was about 6 teams that were offering this burn a year setup.
Yeah. So you get to become a free agent sooner.
So I was an RFA. Yeah. So I signed with Carolina, played one game of the season. Then I was all of a sudden negotiating my second contract. So there were 6 teams that were willing to do that. And so they were obviously the only 6 that I considered, and went to the library, got a little study room, and took a call with my agent. And I think it was 45 an hour call. And it was just like, yeah, Carolina, this is where they see you fit. They don't spend money because they're cheap. So they really believe in you. And I said, I just want to go where I have a chance to play in the league. There was, some big, like Chicago was in there, and some big clubs that it's like, wow, that'd be unbelievable. But it's a little bit intimidating to sign with the Blackhawks or the Leafs are one of these teams that can kind of burn through guys. So Carolina seemed to be the best opportunity for me.
Yeah, and part of it's like where there's opportunity, right? You don't want to, like you said, like trying to get into the Blackhawks lineup's different than whatever year it is, like which team's better, right? Like you want a chance to play. It's not when you're getting to the NHL, it's completely different than going to Europe. When you're going to Europe, you want to go to a team that can win. When you go to the NHL, you're trying to pick a team you can get in the lineup.
You can play on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not about the team, folks. It's not about
it's not about the city. It's not about the jersey color. It's just like, yeah, you just need to get your foot in the door. So
yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And I personally deep down didn't like it. But anyways, before we continue on more, I forgot to explain more about the Bayfield Brewing Company's most popular lager that I've been sipping on all night. It is the Navigating Lieutenant, a light lager, named in honor of the British naval officer who chartered the shores of Lake Huron. The Navigating Lieutenant is their lightest session lager with subtle hints of citrus and a crisp finish. There's no need to go exploring and further drop your anchor and enjoy today. Anyways, moving on. Where are we now?
I just left college.
Geez, you're just getting there now. And so that was the question I had on the notes was one game question mark. And so now I understand it. It's all about the contract and that you get to renegotiate instead of an entry level deal earlier. So what was that like signing that deal and knowing you were going straight to an NHL game? And who did you play and what happened?
Yeah, that was a wild because we were at the Frozen Four. So the team had lost on Thursday night to Ferris State. And so going in, I had known, I told my housemates, my 6 classmates, I'm leaving, I'm signing. So it was not a big shock at that time. There was lots of talk of it anyway. So they were the only ones that knew. And so we lost. And I mean, I was devastated. Obviously it's college and those are your brothers and stuff. So I remember that night being really, really down, and it's a chance for a national championship. And then when I got back to the hotel, everyone was kind of changing their clothes and going to rip it up. And I met my parents and just kind of went back to bed went back up. In the morning, I was signing. Actually, that night I signed. Ron Francis and Rod Brindamore were there. So we met up in the hotel, the ballroom or whatever, and they brought the contract. And I have a picture shaking Ron Francis's hair, and Roddy Brindamore's there, and Jason Carmanos. And so tried to get some sleep. Then the next morning, went to the bus. Everyone was packing up our stuff. So I threw my bag into the Jeep Cherokee with Ron Francis, Brindamore, Carmanos, rode shotgun, and was like, all the guys were getting on the bus. And I was like, hey, like, I'll see you guys shortly. And so
I'm going to the NHL right now.
I'm going to the National League tomorrow, and I'll be back. Yeah. So, and that was pretty cool.
Been quite the experience. Yeah.
It was wild. And so then we drove, I don't know, 4.5 hours to Fort Lauderdale. We were playing Florida Panthers. Florida was trying to clinch, and Carolina was out. So that was
for them to all come, and like for literally all of them to come, they would have had to drive 4.5 hours there, and 4.5 hours back and watch the game. And like, man, they want you, right? Like they want you, and that makes sense why out of the 16 teams, like that's the team you chose, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were. I mean, it's a Frozen Four, and Boston College was also there, so they had a lot of prospects. But yeah, it was great, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And the guys were so normal that I didn't really realize. Now I see Rod Brindamore coaching, and he's a Hall of Famer, and Ron Francis. But at the time, it was just like you're just hopping along, pretty happy. So Then that night I got thrown in, I think second line or whatever. I was playing with Jeff Skinner and Tomo Rutu. And I think I played 17 or 18 minutes that night. And I thought this is I'm going to be like, I might have 20 goals next year. You know, I could play in this league. So that's, and guys, it's happened to. When you get the call up and you get the opportunity to play, I think most guys do really well.
The one thing I've noticed just from just kind of watching and your story about you can burn the year, that came up like when I was talking to teams at the end of my college career. And to me, it sounds like teams like kind of put that carrot in front of you, like you can come play in the NHL for a game tonight or tomorrow, but like I've seen other guys that were at Western Michigan, they go, they leave, they play their 5 games at end of that season in the NHL. And then the next year they're in the AHL, and like they really didn't get an opportunity, but like they really wanted to sign them. But you know, like maybe their real intention, like they wanted to get them, but I don't know. Like I've seen it though, where you play that game or two out of college, but their true intentions weren't the same for the next season, if that makes sense.
For sure. In my situation, they signed the second year was a one-way deal, so I don't think they were
really.
I don't think they were fooling me or anyone, but I think too, like,
I did not know that. My bad.
Oh no, just I didn't feel like I got the bait and switch or anything like that. Just things happen, you know, a year later, out of your control or whatever. But I think they had they were honest for sure. His teams don't have to give up a draft pick, so if you can go get a guy from college, and you know, most of those teams doing that are either locked into the playoffs or you're long out of the playoffs. So the Red Wings were doing it lately, or Carolina had one game left. What do they care if they throw me in for one?
So you're telling me you were getting right out of college with, I think it was 44 points. You got you play one game and then that burns a year, and the next year is a one-way?
The next year ended up being the lockout year. So the next year was a 2-way deal, and then the second year of the contract was a 1-way. Yeah.
Okay, it was a 3-year or whatever. Burn one, then I got you. Anyways, that's interesting. Like, and I get it. So then that first year, so you play the one game and then that's it. The next year, like, how does that all go down then?
Well, it was a lockout, so the NHL training camp didn't fire up till mid-January. So I went to the American League in Charlotte and got adjusted to pro hockey there. So it was a big adjustment the first couple months. I remember training so hard. I was out in Calgary, training with Andy O'Brien's programs and skating, 2 hours a day. And then the season kind of hit, and I was absolutely burned out for, I think, the first 2 months. And I really regret kind of that, and not taking the time off before camp to kind of reboot. So, and pro hockey hit me, like the adjustment from college.
I couldn't believe the difference.
Going to practice, and I was living in Charlotte too, a great city, lived downtown, and just going to practice, coming home. And thankfully I live with an older guy, and he was kind of showing me the ropes. We were going around doing stuff, but I just remember the first 2 months, 3 months, half the first year, I was just kind of like, this is such a boring, lonely life. And I thought, like, at that time, I thought maybe I'd rather be on Wall Street or put my degree to work in New York and kind of live in that hustle life. Cause I was like, this hockey life isn't what it was cracked up to be, kind of thing.
Honestly, like, not to cut you off, but like, when I first got to pro and you're right out of college, you've been hanging out with all your friends and you're all hanging out and you're all hanging out together all the time. And then you're all like best friends. And then you go to pro out of that. And it's like, everybody's different nationalities. Nobody's really friends. Everybody's competing with each other. And you're like, this is lonely. Like, and it it's really not very good. It's not a good lifestyle for people, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The first year I was like, this is what I dreamed my whole life about, playing pro hockey, making
Exactly.
good money, playing hockey. I'm living in Charlotte, and I'm like, I think I'd rather be working 14 hours a day in New York City or something. But no one ever tells you that, right? And I don't think the players that are going through it at the time in the American League or anything, you just always see them, at the bar or driving their nice cars, and everyone acts like it's just the greatest life ever.
Because they have a little bit of money, but like it's not actually better than hanging out with your buddies in college with no money. It's not actually a better life.
It's no, it's not. And I didn't regret leaving. I was just old enough and ready to move on. But yeah, guys like that are thinking of junior or college, or man, they talk about hockey, or I don't want to wait that long, or I want to get going and try to get drafted. It's like, no, you can still do all that at college, but it's the best time of your life. Like, you don't understand. And so when I got there, there was guys, the 20, 21-year-old, the top draft picks. And I was like, man, these guys have grown up. Like when I was a freshman in college, going to frat parties and spring weekends and stuff, these guys were doing this. And I was just thankful that I had kind of a great college experience. And
I'm the exact same way. I had an unbelievable college experience. We just didn't win. We sucked at hockey, but we were awesome at having fun, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, that second year you play some games, but then where are we going now? We're going from Carolina to or no, wait, I got another question. You played with Zach Delpy. So he played with you and got traded with you. You two got traded together? My research team was hot today.
Yeah. We got traded the same day. So it was that second year going in.
From Paris, Ontario.
Yep. So I skated with him this summer too. He's a really good guy, and he's still getting it done in the American League. And he was up with Columbus this year. I can't believe like these guys that are him, Cal O'Reilly, that are hanging around the American League so long. It's such a grind. So
they don't understand what's overseas, or they just don't like it. They want the grind.
No, Cal did it, but he was in Russia and he had Mike Keenan as coach, so he had a bad experience, I think.
Right, and there's so many other experiences out there. There's Switzerland, there's Sweden, there's Finland, there's lots of places to go that are not the AHL. I would never do that.
Dolpe was up with Columbus this year and was a captain in the American League, and if they're throwing money at you, why go over to Switzerland? And there's some pretty.
I guess you'd have to go over there to figure out why. That you'd have to go over there to understand why. But I'll never understand. Once you've been there, once you've been to Switzerland, you've seen it. You'd never go to the AHL ever. But if you're still getting games, then I keep doing it.
Yeah, he's getting games, good money. I think too. Like you can end up in Switzerland, and they tell you need to take more slap shots and stuff. I've heard. So you're in the second best league in the world. You're around the prospects. I think the buzz and the energy and stuff, the American League, you're always a phone call from the National Hockey League, and you're seeing guys get called up after you play them on a Sunday and stuff. So that's the place to be. It's as far as the center of the hockey world.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't like the lifestyle. I didn't like the camaraderie of the team. Like it was good for parts of it, but like as far as everybody trying to battle with each other, I enjoyed Europe way more. Like I really did. Sure. But you guys get traded to Vancouver and you end up playing 19 games, right?
Yep.
So is that right at the start of the season, or when's that in the season?
I got traded on roster day, so that's when they have their formal rosters, and I got sent down for 2, 3, or 4 weeks. I played 2 games or 1 game in the American League, and then we were on a bus trip to Rochester, so just a day trip. and got called up on the bus with just my road suit and a little backpack. So I got called up with that, like dishes in the sink, and stayed in Vancouver for 3 months. Yeah, at that point.
You stayed there for 3 months with basically nothing. The rest of your stuff's in would it be Utica?
Was in Utica, yeah. And I, of course, having done the move, I got traded in the middle of the night. So it was roster day. So they were trying to like cap crunch. What are we doing? What are we doing? So it must have been last ditch. And so it was the last day of training camp. So the guys went out and I was absolutely wiped. I went to bed. Brett Belmore, I wake up to a knock on my door, and I answer the door buck naked. I'm like, what? He's like, Welshie. And I thought like something happened, or he was out and something happened. He's like, Welshie, like, Billy, what's up? What's up? Have you checked your phone? I'm like, no, I'm in bed, dude. He's like, you might want to check your phone. I'm like, what's up, Billy? He's like, just check your phone. And so I'm like, what's up? He's like, you and Dolps got traded today. I'm like, oh, to who? He's like, Vancouver. So like, okay. And he's like, Dolps says he's got a flight at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I think you're on it. I'm like, okay. Close the door. I look at my phone. I had missed calls from Ron Francis and stuff, and had saw it. And Dolps had texted me, said, dude, we're on a flight tomorrow. We got to get picked up at 7:30. So I think it was 2:00 at this time, and just packed up my hotel room, packed up. I had a Buick Regal in the parking lot. So I packed up all my belongings in the Buick Regal. And the next day we were on a flight to Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, then I got to Utica that year. My car had just showed up with my stuff, found a spot, unpacked, and then got called up again. So
And then so that's how different life is there compared to normal life, especially when I live now, where you know where your clothes are and everything. Like when you're a hockey player getting sent up and sent down, like you could be on the road and get called up and all your stuff is in a different town, right? Like, and you're just gone, and then you're in Vancouver.
Well, that one was, that was 3 months. So that was wild. As I said, like dishes in the sink, pregame meal.
But you're okay with it because you're making NHL money. So you'll just buy the new clothes.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's where I have my nicest jacket, my nicest suits. They all came from when I was in Van, going to Harry Rose in there. And so I didn't mind. It's like having the company credit card to go pimp yourself out. And I was put up by in a hotel there, so you can only pay for one place at a time. So they put me up in a nice temporary living hotel right in Yale town. So I wasn't complaining about anything there.
Yeah, well, so the one question I got, just because I saw for your 19 games in the 3 months you're there, is you did play with the Sedins, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Just as advertised, or just nice people that just saw the game differently and all that?
Yeah. Yeah. The awesome guys.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, I'm running out of battery. The best guys, yeah, they're absolutely chill, relaxed. And the thing that's amazing too is there's nothing physically remarkable about their games. When you practice with them, there's nothing there that's out of this world. The fourth line guys, the scratches, could do most of the same stuff in practice, but just their vision, their awareness, their patience and poise with the puck was amazing to watch. But I always remember I was there. I played 19 games. I probably got scratched 15 or 20. So I was hanging around, and when I got in, it was Tortorella. So on the fourth line, I was playing between 2 minutes and 4 minutes a night. So wasn't the best situation. Yeah, it wasn't the best situation to get my big break in the NHL. It's tough to look good out there in that. But I remember I'd been scratched, play one game scratched, 3 games scratched. And so we were at home, and I went up into the stands and was watching the game from the stands just because it's a free ticket to the NHL game, right? So guys are watching the lounge, and I remember I went up. And so when I came down after, I waited outside the room because they were doing a thing, and just kind of out there waiting to leave, like, hey, can I leave yet? And I remember Henrik and Daniel came out, and I was standing by the door, and they both said, hey, well, she gave me a little like pat, and hey, well, see you in the morning. I'm like, yeah, see you guys. And I think the team had lost and stuff too, but I always remembered that like, wow,
They make
these
you feel
guys,
part of it, right? They're
yeah, they just lost. The media is on them. The media is on the team. I'm absolutely inconsequential. They could walk right by me, but they say, "Hey, see you in the morning, Welsh." So you give me a little bump, and I just remember, and I try to act like that when now that I'm an older guy a little bit. Sometimes you can go a couple days without talking to one corner of the room or some young guys or something like that. So just that was an amazing gesture, and those guys are as good as everyone says they are. Awesome guys.
wow, you really brought me back to actually being a hockey player when you said like not talk to a corner of the room for a little bit. Like it's been so long since I've been in an actual dressing room, and like when you say that, I remember those days where like each corner of the locker room, they all kind of have their own thing. And it's like who actually crosses over to be like, let's get everybody rocking and like talking, right? Like you're right.
Yeah,
Like when you're getting ready for practice, everybody that sits beside each other has their own things and they talk, they have sitting beside someone for an entire year, it changes your relationship, I would say. But
yeah.
moving on, I think it's time to move on. Um, the Chicago Wolves and St. Louis organization. Did you leave there to go there? Is that the contract comes to an end and you go there? Is that what happened?
Yeah, exactly. That year, I mean, Tortorella got fired, the GM got fired, most of the staff got fired. So it was one of those.
Clean house things.
Yeah, and at the end of the time, I had really done well in Utica, and I think Travis Green liked me a lot at the end of the season. So I would have really loved to have just been a depth guy and try to work my way back up into the Vancouver, but that's how it goes. And so I caught on with St. Louis and Chicago. Um, I think more Chicago was pushing for me at that point. So I was fortunate enough to get another deal and went to camp and had a great first year there. And that was
That's
the
what
most
I
fun.
saw. I saw you had an unbelievable year and got no games. And that's when I was like, geez, that's kind of like the Chicago Wolves thing back when I remember like my
Oh, yeah.
19 games in the AHL was the Chicago Wolves would pay great money for guys to be happy being in the AHL.
Yeah. And I mean, I wasn't happy to be in the AHL, but I don't think that season I didn't really deserve games. Not by my play. It's just St. Louis was stacked. They had like 14, 15 forwards up on one ways. They had great players, and Magnus PRV was down with us for a bit. He was too good to be in the American League. So there was really no, it didn't even really
No
cross my mind
room.
that I'd sniff it. It was no, it was more, you're playing in Chicago. So lots of teams are flying, or scouts are flying in, flying out on Sundays. The airport's close. So it was more just like, I'm hoping another team will jump on me and like me. So, and in the meantime, that was the most fun I had playing pro hockey, I guess, was my first year. I lived downtown, and not that I was going out all the time, this and that, but just the fans were great. The season was great. The organization was first class. And, then on a Saturday night, you got to go rip it up in Chicago. And yeah, it was an awesome city, great people. And my 2 years there were really, really fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Like winning and good people around that does sound fun. So you do get your second year 2 games with the Blues, but after that season, you do decide to head to the Bremerhaven Fishtown Penguins. What's the decision to leave North America? Because you did have 2 NHL games the year before.
Yeah. Decision. Well, St. Louis didn't offer me a deal that year. So that was a bummer. It's always a bummer when I guess you feel that rejection, but everything was great. The exit meetings, and we think you're an NHL player. You're going to be fighting for a spot. The coach in the American League. So everything was great. And so I left there feeling pretty confident. And
Nothing happened.
that was that. And I took off. I flew to Barcelona with Scooter Vaughn, one of my teammates. And so we were in Barcelona for 3 or 4 nights, and St. Louis beat Chicago. And I had a call on my phone, and I answered. It was the assistant GM. Hey, Jeremy. And I said, hey, congrats on beating the Blackhawks there. Like, a good series. You say, yeah, that's why I'm calling. Actually, we're wondering if you want to come and Black Ace for us here. And when I left, there had been no indication, and they had picked 3 or 4 or 5 young guys to go Black Ace. So I said, hey, I'll come in a second if you want me, but I've been in Barcelona for 5 days.
What do you want me
Like,
to do?
I'll fly back and do it for sure, 100%. Because again, at this point, I thought I was going to be in their plans next year. So they called back and said, no, that's our fault. We didn't, we should have let you know earlier. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, basically that year was just, my agent was saying, you'll get a deal. You just got to wait. You got to wait. So I had an American League offer, and I spoke with the team, and I said, I guess it was Boston. So I spoke with them and said, hey, like, I'll take an American League deal, but I want to come to training camp. And if I'm better than your 3-4, or if I outplay your centerman, then I want to,
I want to show
that be in the, I want to be in the mix. Like, I know who you got, and I'll come in and battle with them, but I'm not coming in if it's pointless. And they said, oh, I love that attitude. That's how you should think. And so then when they came back in August, it was, no, they're not sure if you can come to training camp based on numbers just yet. You're going to have to wait. And so I said, all right, the American League is, I just lost all, I knew what happened at that point, so you play well. And it was like, even if I have 60 points, I'm not getting up.
At what age are you now?
I'm 27, 28, probably 28. I'm 28. So it was like, all right.
So your big shot was probably Tortorella.
Yeah, that year. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I was just 28, and I was like, I don't want to be in the American League without that. Like, the whole reason you go through that grind and it's exciting is because you're waiting for that phone call, or you're looking at the team up above. And without that, it's just kind of, so I was just ready for something new. And they came across, they said, all right, well, sit on this. We'll look out in Germany or in Europe and see what happened. And then this deal came up, and I took it. In hindsight, I probably should have waited. I had no idea, like, that you could just sign a month after that. You know what I mean? I didn't know how Germany, I thought it was like, they're starting a season in a week, you can go now. So I thought, all right, I either go there or I take this. But now, knowing what I know, I could have just sat put and waited a month. But I had no idea that was really an option.
Yeah, it's crazy when you know what you know now, right? Like, when I first got the offer to Germany, I thought I had to go like right away. Like, I thought I had to take it then, or it would never happen. That's not actually how it happens, right?
No.
Like, you actually have time, and you actually can think, and you can relax. But anyways, that's crazy. Like, so you go to Bremerhaven though. Can I tell you my story of Bremerhaven just quickly?
Sure.
Is in the second league in Germany. We went up to Bremerhaven for the last game of the season. We've already made the playoffs. We've already clinched second place. It's 10 hours away. It's a 10-hour bus trip. It's the last game of the regular season. We got a week off in between games. And my kids keep deciding to come into the shed during podcast time. It's quite strange. Zoe, can you please get out of here? Anyways, we go up there, we play a game, but before we get there, we're there like 2 hours early. So the guys are like, come with me, come for a walk. And I'm like, sure. We go for a walk, and they walk me through the red light district of Bremerhaven. Does that still exist? Because we went for a stroll through there when we showed up to a game a little early, and I had never seen it from Elmira, Ontario. I'd never seen anything like that. That was the first time. And we just cruised through. We walked by and like saw what was happening, and then went and played a hockey game.
It's still there, I think, but I honestly can't even tell you where it is.
These German fellas knew.
I heard about it, and I might have driven by one, but I honestly don't know where it is in Bremerhaven. But I'd seen him in Nuremberg too, and those places. But
Yeah, it is interesting, but no, they knew where it was, and they're like, "Here, come for a walk before warm-ups." And I went for a stroll like last game of the regular season, and we walked by, and then we went and played a hockey game, and I was like, "Huh,
They say,
what an
they say come
interesting."
for a walk, bring
We
some
just
cash if we got
that
any.
was no, we didn't take any cash. We were like in our warm-up gear or whatever it was. I don't know. We were like literally an hour and a half early for the game. So we're like, let's go for a walk. And we walked by to see what was all going on. That was the first time I ever saw it in Europe. But when you're over there for 10 years, that stuff's happening all the time over there. But anyways, you played in Bremerhaven, so that is way up north. So your travel time would have sucked, or were you guys flying?
No, we never flew one time. Yeah, my first road game, we went to Schwinnigen, which is on the other side. Uh,
The
12
Wild
hours.
Wings.
Yeah, the Wild Wings. We leave at like 4 a.m. or something to play a 4 or 5 o'clock game, and that was my first road trip, and I was just shocked that we stopped in some small town, did like a dynamic warm up and ate lunch and then get back onto the bus. And yeah, I was just shocked that this was, yeah. Anyway, the travel was pretty terrible there. There was a lot of nights you get home Sunday night or Friday night at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. The lights come on the bus. Those are the darkest times, I think, in Germany, when you get off the bus at 5 a.m. and you're like, what am I doing to myself here?
Yeah, it's a strange feeling. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I went to Bremerhaven many times. I even played in the old arena. Do you know what the old arena is?
No.
Really? They tore it down?
Yes.
Jeez. Okay. Well, I did play in the new arena too, but you know what? They're a second league team. They shouldn't be in the first league because they live in the middle of nowhere. But moving on. You played in Bremerhaven, then you go to Dusseldorf, which going from Bremerhaven to Dusseldorf, my goodness, that must be living, right?
Yeah, I was excited. Especially from Bremerhaven, you'd bus in to play at Berlin. Berlin's got the Mercedes Arena. You'd bus into Cologne, and it's the Lannex Arena, like 18,000, and you'd just be looking out the window, like, oh my God, like this is Europe, this is Germany. And so just seeing those cities for a glimpse was like the big show when you got to see those. So yeah, I moved on to Dusseldorf, and much more international city, and a beautiful city. The season didn't go very well. That would be an understatement. It was probably the one of the most miserable seasons I've ever had.
Is that right?
Well, we had just a coach was a new coach, kind of maybe figuring it out, and was
Yeah.
controlling, I guess.
What's the code? It's not Brittig.
No, but just treated us like,
Yeah.
freshmen in college, and it was like, dude, this is, and workouts here, workouts there, ride the bike, and I could barely move. I was just beaten down. As a bigger guy, I couldn't keep up, and mentally it was miserable. Physically, it was tiring.
His name was not Christian Brittig.
No.
Jeez, thank goodness, because that guy coached Dusseldorf after me, and it was the worst time of my life.
No. But those kind of coaches exist over there. That's why, if you say, like, why don't guys go to Switzerland or to Europe? I mean, it's not always a great situation. You stumble into that, and you're like, wait, this is really stupid, and we're not going to win hockey games. And sure enough, we didn't. So.
No, you're right, though. Those coaches do exist over there. You're absolutely right. I've seen it firsthand. It's nuts over there, but I would but there's that, and then there's the different options of being a professional hockey player. Like you said, like in the AHL, you have a chance of getting the call, but then there's the between AHL and East Coast, that is not the same, right? And then you're fighting to get to the AHL, and you're like, well, from there you still got to fight to get to there, and it's like, well, I'm going overseas. I don't care if they make me shoot it from the red line or not. I'll do it.
Yeah, and you're getting pretty banged up. In the American League, I remember, like, every Monday or every Sunday after 3-3s or whatever, just waking up and something always hurt, like block shot on the ankle, you got hit hard, your shoulder, there was always aches and pains. And in Germany, I was, waking up after week and being like, yeah, I'm exhausted, but my body feels completely fine. So you're not taking that as much wear and tear.
Oh, it's completely different. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it really is. Like, so anyways, you go from Dusseldorf, the team's not very good. It's a good city though, but it's tough to live life and have fun when you're not doing good at hockey as a team, because I know that like life is better when you're winning. Everything's better when you're winning. But anyways, you go from there to the I don't know, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but you go to the Czech team and play 4 games, which I saw on the roster had 53 players.
Yeah.
It's good 4 games with the 53 players. Did you meet all of them?
I didn't meet all of them. They were coming and going, and I think they had so many players that they lost my paycheck somewhere in the mix. So,
geez, that hurts.
I was after a tough year, again, the team sucked. I had a bad year in Dusseldorf. And so, I had a good year in Bremerhaven, bad year in Dusseldorf. So the jury was kind of out, and I had some offers in the EBEL, but I was determined to go back to the DL. I just knew, in a normal situation that I could do real well. So I was kind of hanging around. And then this part of BJ reached out, and so that was cool. It was a good league, and obviously it was just a complete mess that season. So the coach got fired, brought in a new coach. Hey, Jeremy, it was a 1-month contract, so they released me. And as they released me, I was like, oh, so I'm walking out, and as I'm walking out, I leave my gear and stuff. So I'm like, let me find a job. Just don't tell everyone that you basically cut me right now. Just
give me a day or two.
Give me a week to say like I'm leaving the team and I want out before. So he said, yeah. So I'm walking out of the thing. I'm pretty crushed. I liked it, and the Czech league's good. So as I'm walking out, the new coach has the guys in the parking lot. It's like freezing rain. He has them doing, Eastern European warm-up drills in the freezing cold. So I was like, yeah, maybe it's for the best. And Wolfsburg had some injuries. I think they had an injury, like they played Friday night and they had 2 centermen go down with concussions, and they were already short on centermen. So that happened overnight. They're like, yeah, we need you. Get on a plane and get here. So I was happy. That's a good organization with some good success. So I joined that team, and they were out of the playoffs. But I had a good stint there. Play with some good players, Spencer Mahachuk, Dan Spar, and was kind of the 1-2 centerman there. So it was great.
No, that it looked like you did really well there. And then I guess, yeah, it went well. That season ends. So then you end up in Krefeld, which my research team was hard at work. And I saw you played with Drago. Do you know who Drago is?
No.
Arturs Krumnich?
Oh yeah, Arturs.
Does he not look like Drago from Rocky, or no?
I don't know the movies so well.
Has he aged a bit, or you're too young?
No, he hasn't aged at all. He's a great guy. Arturs was awesome.
Yeah, I played with him in Bietigheim, but he literally looks like Drago. Everybody called him Drago. That was his nickname. He looked like Drago from Rocky 3 or 4 or whatever it is.
Oh, he didn't follow him to Krefeld. We just called him Artie.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. What'd you think of Krefeld? What was that town like?
The town's not bad. It's the same old thing. We thought we had a good team on paper going into the year. We're going to real sneak up on teams. We're going to be good. And then it just kind of went sideways. And then it went more sideways for a stretch. The coaches started doing, 2-a-days on Tuesdays, and we're going to be the fittest team and this and that. And so it got real bad. And
you know what happens in Europe is as soon as you start losing, those coaches decide they're going to start getting really in shape, and they tell the fans and they tell the sponsors, like, we're just not fit enough. Yeah. And then they're like, let's bag skate every day. I've been through it. I've done it. right?
It's just like, yeah, the fans get on them. They're calling for them to be fired, and then well, we're gonna at least work hard. If you guys don't want to play the right way, we're gonna work hard. And then so you practice working hard. And then when the game comes along, no one has people are working hard, but they're slow as molasses because they're exhausted. It's just
It's crazy how they don't. Yeah.
it's so funny just to see the stupidity play out like repeatedly. Yeah, it's crazy. But the assistant coach ended up taking over, and it got real good maybe after Christmas. He was a good detailed guy, pure bolo, and so the team had a good second half, but there was some ownership issues, some missed paychecks, and some big stuff which never happened to the DEL. So there was that whole distraction going on, and it was just again another bummer of a year. So and here we are.
Tough. Yeah, that's tough, man. Like that's tough. Like, and then COVID happens and all that stuff, and like you're still a hockey player, you're still good enough. You should be like, yeah. And then you go to Poland, and I guess right, and that's COVID. Like that's what's happened to so many hockey players, dude. Like realistically, when you look at the whole grand scheme of things, like everybody's lucky to have played it all in the last year. Like there are so many guys that never did, that are sitting there, that have been sitting there for almost 2 years going, am I still a hockey player?
Yeah, and I don't know if you are, to be honest, unless you were in the English league and the whole league kind of folded, but and the GMs honor those contracts for those guys, but human nature kicks in, and even guys that were kind of settled onto a team, I still think GMs are like, well, we want guys that played, da da da. And the other double whammy is the guys got pinched big time in the American Hockey League, right? With the rollback of salaries and the East Coast teams folding. So it was November, and had he known what happened, the DL wasn't starting. But hindsight's 2020. I wish I had jumped to Austria or
Earlier.
something really quick, but it didn't. But by the time everything happened, that was already full tilt. And then those jobs, I was at home in November, and it looked like Canada was about to go into a lockdown. So my girlfriend was here in Hamburg, and I was like, I got to get over to Europe somewhere, something. Otherwise, I'm sitting in my parents' basement for the winter. So anything that gets me a visa to go to Europe, I'm pretty much going. So, and then this Polish deal came. So, it was great. A great experience. We had some good imports, 5-6 of us, North Americans, and Poland was still kind of, things were shut down, but there was lots of great food trucks, and there was some entrepreneurial businesses that would just do what they wanted, kind of. So, yeah.
So what's the food like in Poland then? Because I like food.
Yeah, I like food too, and I'm starting to get back down my way, but pierogies, honestly, every meal we had, even the hotel food when we stayed over in playoffs, even the roadside food, all the food in Poland is absolute quality food. They call it the Garden of Europe. They grow a lot of food there for the rest of Europe. The vegetables, the meat was amazing. So they take a lot of like care in their preparation and stuff. Every place we ate was fantastic.
And it's all farmed, and they're all using it fresh. And
yeah, everything was great. There was some food trucks there though, and
isn't it crazy how food in Europe is so different than North America? I just find it different. But anyways,
that's the old thing, eh? When guys come over and my fridge is so small. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? And then they all buy their produce. And then they're like, dude, I bought, lettuce yesterday, and today it's like mushy, and what the hell is this? And yeah, it's because they don't spray it with like DDT and anti.
Yeah, because it's real food that you're supposed to eat right away.
Yeah.
Strange times. But well, wherever you end up next season, because I don't like spreading rumors, but I hope that you really enjoy it, and I'm sure you will, whether or not the rumors are true, because I actually haven't talked to you about this. I don't even know if it's true. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, because like, for a guy that just met you randomly at the Y at Godrich,
That's what the YMCA is for, right?
right. 7 years later, we're doing a podcast about your career. Yeah, it's dude, like, your career is incredible. And I just want to thank the Bayfield Brewing Company for sponsoring this episode, especially the Snook Stout, which proceeds go to the Bayfield Community Center, which I would like to check out actually next time I'm in town. So thank you so much for coming on.
Check
You got
out
anything
the
else to
brewery
say
there.
before we shut her down?
You can have a few pints on that patio there. Just watch people meander the streets of Bayfield. It's a great spot there, the Bayfield Brewery. But no, it's crazy. That's a wrap. But just go through the whole career and.
Well, it's not done yet, big guy.
No, it's not done yet, but it's, I don't think about it too much. So it's,
dude, wait till you're
when you're asked questions about it, it's tough to like, oh yeah, we're thinking back now. It's 10 years. Now it's 8 years. And it's, it's just funny. You can kind of sum it all up in a quick 10-minute spiel.
But it's not a 10-minute spiel.
No, of course
I've had the
not.
kids in here already saying like, Dad, it's time to get out of here. Like, it's time to get back to being a dad. And I'm like, kids, this is my only time of the week where I get to be Wally. Back off. Like, I'll be dad in a second. Give me a second. But like, literally, like, I met you guys, like, and I know it's hard to think of because you're an active player. But like, when you've gone through it, and like, I was around your age when I met you, but like, I was not 6'2", and my body did not look the same. I understand that. But like, I knew I was coming to the end, and it's like, then I have been to the end for 5-6 years. And it's like, I have nobody to talk about this with. I did my career and I have nobody to talk to about it. There's no one around that wants to listen to me. But guess what, folks? All the hockey players out there, I'm ready to listen. You know what? Like, because I love this shit. I love hearing how it all works out for guys and why it didn't work out, why it did work out, because the margins are so slim. They're so slim between every player, whether you did it or you didn't. And I've played with most of you, and I am very surprised that you are not a full-time player, because I played with you and I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this guy? And then I saw Cal and Ryan and I was like, where the hell am I? I thought I was in Carden and I was going to shoot on an empty net.
Yeah. No, it's, I can feel you if you're back at home and not speaking to hockey guys. And that's, not that I think I'm coming to the end, but I'm getting into the second back, the back nine here at least. And so, I just appreciate, like, even in Poland this year, there was some tough days and practices were brutal, and you're kind of like, this is not even what I know hockey to be, but it's going to the rink and meeting people from all over the world and just talking to them. And I could see when you no longer have that kind of group or that locker room atmosphere, it's got to be tough. And I guess if you say, why did it work out? I don't want to be sitting here saying, oh, it's sounding like any negatives or stuff like that. That's just having some time to reflect on it. Most guys can say, this is what happened. This is kind of why it happened, or it's out of my control. So, as I said, going through the American League or even being in Europe and playing with guys, my second year into Germany, I was still a little bit not pissed, but I wanted more. Or you're kind of like, God damn, why didn't I get that? Why couldn't I just stay up a little longer? Why didn't I ever get 10 minutes ice time there? Or, but at this stage and going through it and looking back, man, there's so many good hockey players out there. And even when you're in the American League, like, the best player on the American League team might not get the call up. It might be a 22-year-old speedy right winger because they want him on the PK or.
But the other thing that I've found, which like I can't stress enough to, if like, because there is no young players listening to this. This is all guys my age, mainly by the looks of it. But for young kids, like being a Cal O'Reilly and pushing people to be better every day. Like when I went out to that skate, I was so confused of how hard you were working in the middle of summer, and there was like 8 people on the ice, and I was like I would normally just be screwing around having a 3-on-3 game, and these guys are giving her. And then 2 years later, Snook is a Conn Smythe winner, a Stanley Cup champion, and you're like, I totally get it. I totally get how that all happened because I saw it. I watched it and I was like, what in the hell is this? Because I had never worked like that in the summer in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those guys are both such special players and they have the work ethic and stuff. So, who was it? Chad Costello was telling me that there's, those 50 or 100 players in the world that are just better than everyone. The rest of the hockey players are all pretty close and we're all just kind of like filling holes and revolving doors,
That's exactly what
it is. Most guys are pretty good. Some guys, if you have the work ethic like Cal or whatever, you might get to a little higher level, but most of the rest of us are just you get a fortunate season or you have good breaks or whatever, and you're kind of floating around revolving. And then there's 100 guys that are just on a different level that would never miss no matter where they are.
Yeah, you're right. And then there's the guys that are just, like I said, the coaches just love them because they do everything right. And then there's guys that, like there's the rest of us that like there's guys that do everything perfect. And you're like, yeah, like I get it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's the rest, like literally when I saw you skate in Godrich, I was out there and I'm like 32 years old. And like, I got a pretty good eye for players. I saw you skate and you were a great dude. And I was like, this guy seems like an awesome dude. He's going top cheese every time. He's 6'3". Like I was like, how is this guy not there? Like I couldn't believe it, but now you've explained it to me and it's like everybody can get like close, but it's like how do you become that full timer, right? Like how do you really get there? There's a very select few, and that's that 50 to 100, right?
There's a lot better players than me that didn't even get games, or less games or something like that.
You play. So, you're pretty flipping good.
But there's better players that just,
whether you said I waddled into the arena or not, I still think you're really good.
Sure. But I mean, just from being in the American League, there's guys, better guys than me or guys that just didn't get a chance. Or I think when you're around that situation, you see it. And some guys that you don't expect will get a break in 3 years and they'll spend 4 years in the NHL and then they'll be back out. Or sometimes that'll happen. Or some guy that's can't miss, he just maybe gets an injury when it's his time and then it's kind of gone again. So that's that pro hockey kind of that the meat grinder of the American League, and trying to come out and get situated in the NHL is not it's not easy. Obviously, it's
a crazy environment. It is very different than the rest of the world. It really is. But everybody in it has the biggest work ethic and will do anything it takes. And it does build you as a person. And whatever's next for you, sir, I look forward to it because you know what? We can have a repeat podcast about where are you now and what's happening now, because you are one of the active players that we could have a quick one of like, so what's happening now? Like what's the team like? What's the,
Sure.
what's the
What's
situation like,
what's the
right?
league like there? Maybe do just a check in there in the
Well,
season,
we're
whatever league
we're
I'm in.
not trying to make too many rumors. We don't know if you're going to the UK league or not to do an NBA. We just know you want to. Um,
Someday we want to. No, any
someday.
league, do an update,
Yeah,
points race.
no,
What are you seeing?
it's nice to have active players. It really is. It's nice to have active players in my life. And if I wouldn't have met you when I was in my mid 30s and you were a young buck, I wouldn't have active players around. So thank you.
There we go. Hey,
Yeah.
and I tell you the NBA thing too, especially given this year. Um, Talking to my friends or talking to guys, I know a lot of hockey guys that kind of hockey guys, we always like to, this is, we complain, professional complainers all the time. But I know enough guys with, good degrees and looking for jobs, and it just doesn't, just kind of hanging them up and thinking you're going to walk into a job doesn't seem like a great strategy. It seems to take time to hunt these things down if you're in Boston or Toronto or whatever. So,
well, let's say this. It doesn't matter where you are, whether it's Kincardine, whether it's Toronto, Boston, it doesn't matter where you are. Like literally, I moved to Kincardine out of choice, out of hockey. And like it doesn't matter where you go, you've been a hockey player. You do not have work experience. You need to either have education or know somebody. Otherwise, you're a hockey player.
yeah. Yeah, sure. Of
Right?
course. And most,
Or
yeah, it
no?
seems a lot of guys have family things and stuff. For sure, you're a hockey player.
Family, yes. Family helps.
Family, things like that. You're just a hockey player. As you just said, though, I would argue, if I was hiring or if I had a company, a lot of companies hire NCAA athletes, and I would hire hockey players based on what we just said, like the American League grind, the work ethic, kind of the instant feedback loop of when you mess up, you get a coach in your ear, and then you got to go out and perform, and kind of the things you deal with. Yeah, you might not have sat at a desk for 5 years pushing papers, and now you can do that somewhere else. But I think most guys I know that come out, that just the experiences in the
You're, to be
trial by
honest,
fire.
I really want to cut you off there because I have been through it, and like it was very hard for me, and you don't appreciate what you've done as a teammate, as like being part of organizations and knowing who's the coach, who's the manager, who's the owner, who are the players. Like you learn who you are in that organization, and you know how to play as that player. When you become the real world and you know where you fit, but you have the work ethic and you're a team player, like for me, it's like if there's a guy above me or below me or wherever he is in the lineup, if he needs help, I'm going to go help him. I'm going to go over there and help him. And I'm going to say, well, this is what you do. Like, this is how you do it. Or whether I can or can't help him, I will go find him the help of who can help him, because that is a hockey team. That's what people do. That's what we've done our whole lives. And people don't, in my opinion, give us enough credit when we're done hockey, what we've done as teammates and what we've done as teams. And you get out of it and it sucks. It people don't give you the credit. People don't know. But then when, like for myself, I found a company that gets it, and they know I'm a people guy and I can run the people, but it's hard, man. Getting out of
No
hockey
doubt.
is the worst thing you can do, but owners and companies don't get what a hockey player can do for you, because they can work, they're a teammate, they're going to help up and down the lineup, they're team guys, right?
Sure. Yeah, and dealing with people and that the general not everybody has it, but that kind of, they call it the EQ, the emotional intelligence, just to be able to talk to all the different people at the workplace and things like that, I think are more valuable than pushing papers for 5 years with some experience doing it, you know. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I'm kind of, when I was younger, I was always just, yeah, you know, do this, do whatever I want, do whatever I want. I'm kind of realizing, having seen some of my good friends with good
You're
degrees go through it and kind of getting
you're where
rejected
I
for
am. You're where
9
I am.
months to a year of it. And then it's like, dude, how can you not get a job? You got an Ivy League degree or whatever, you know?
But then you're 35 and you haven't used it. And it's like, well, these kids that were using it for the last 15 years, well, you were getting goals and assists. And no, it's actually real. And that's what every player goes through. And when you get home, it's like it gets it gets real very fast. I don't want to, it just, that's just what happens. And I can't wait to see, perhaps if you get your MBA in this wherever in the UK, and I can't wait to see how it all goes. And then I hope that's what you do. If you need a place, I do have some connections somewhere. Just saying.
Well, I have agents scouring all the leagues in Europe right now, so we'll see.
Okay,
Like,
well, yeah.
sounds like you're saying sooner rather than later, though.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an agent. I'm just a podcaster. Um, but I do know people. But anyways, thank you for coming on, and it was great to get to know you more than when you just judged my body and me waddling into the arena. And Ryan and Snook, I'm sorry for, not taking your skates seriously enough. I was old, I was fat, I did the best I could. And I just want to thank the Bayfield Brewing Company one more time for sponsoring this episode. And also our sponsor, stayinblue.ca, Wally 20% off 3-night stay in the Blue Mountain Collingwood area. Just go to stayinblue.ca. And that's been another episode.